जय हिंद दोस्तों, विस्की टॉकीज में आपका बहुत 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 स्वागत है। मैं हूं आपका अपना दोस्त मेज़बान अतुल बख्शी उर्फ कपाड़ शंख। पिछली वीडियोस को लाइक करने के लिए, शेयर करने के लिए, सब्सक्राइब करने के लिए, कमेंट करने के लिए और बेल आइकॉन पर ठप्पू लगाने के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद दोस्तों। जैसा कि आप देख सकते हैं कि आज मेरे हाथ में कास्ट नहीं है और मेरे हाथ में मूवमेंट भी है, विच इज़ अ गुड साइन। आई स्टिल कैन नॉट अप्लाई एनी फोर्स, बट एटलीस्ट आई कैन do some movement, which is the good sign according to my doctors. My hand is healing very well. Thanks for your good wishes. It's only because of you guys. So, जो मेरा सेकंड लास्ट व्लॉग था दोस्तों, दैट वाज अबाउट इजराइल पैलेस्टीन। और उस व्लॉग में मैंने कहा था कि वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस और वेरी सून वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस अबाउट हमास। की हमास भला क्या है और कैसे ऑपरेट करती है, कौन इसके सपोर्टर हैं, ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला, उस बात पर हम बात करेंगे। और टुडे इज द डे व्हेन वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट ऑल दिस। So, moving forward on the Israel Palestine conflict, we are going to look into Hamas today, what Hamas is, whether it is a terrorist organization or is it a political group, and who funds it, who supports it, and of course about the humanitarian crisis in Palestine, which are very important to address. So, आज का टॉपिक थोड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग होने वाला है, अगेन पॉलिटिकल बट इंटरेस्टिंग। सो लेट्स कंटिन्यू माय फ्रेंड्स। बातचीत को आगे बढ़ाते हुए हम बात करते हैं कि इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड कि पैलेस्टीन कैसे डिवाइडेड है, राइट? पैलेस्टाइन इज डिवाइडेड इनटू टू पार्ट्स। ऑन द वेस्ट बैंक is the PLO. So it is divided into West Bank and the East Bank. The west side of Palestine is ruled by PLO. PLO stands for Palestinian Liberation Organization. So वो एक political representation है. The West Bank is not that violent. मगर जो ईस्ट साइड है पैलेस्टीन की, दैट इज रूल्ड बाय, दैट इज कॉल्ड गाजा, गाजा पट्टी, गाजा स्ट्रिप। 27/14 की स्ट्रिप है मेरे ख्याल से, इफ आई एम नॉट मिस्टेकन। सो बहुत लंबा चौड़ा एरिया नहीं है, बट कॉम्प्लिकेटेड। we'll talk why it is complicated. We'll come back to that later, but फिलहाल just to understand that the West Bank of Palestine is ruled by PLO and the East Bank is ruled by mainly Hamas. Now, Hamas actually stands for, it is a Arabic acronym. It stands for Harkat al-Maqwama al-Salamiya. Basically a people's liberation party, but with a military wing. They call themselves as, they proclaim themselves as a political party, as a political representation of the people of Gaza with a military wing. Kind of conflicting, but that's the way they define themselves. So, how did Hamas actually come into being? So, in 1967 में क्या हुआ? That Israel attacked Gaza and controlled a lot of area, territory of Gaza, of Palestine, to be precise. It occupied a lot of territory of Palestine in 1967. It was a 6-day war. और उसके बाद क्या हुआ? After 2 decades, in 1987, under the leadership of Sheikh Ahmad Yassin, Hamas was founded as a resistance for Israeli people, and that is how the military wing of it started. It started as a military wing, but that military wing actually turned into a terrorist organization. Now, my point of view, I believe it is a terrorist organization. Any organization that targets civilians, innocent civilians, any organization that targets women, children, elderly is a terrorist organization. And this is exactly what Hamas did. Hamas started targeting the women, the children, the elderly, the ordinary civilians by suicide bombing, by frequent rocket attacks, and by fire attacks as well. So, as I said, any organization, any outfit that comes and attacks innocent civilians is a terrorist organization, and this is what Hamas did, and that is why I proclaim it as a terrorist organization, although they themselves proclaim themselves as a political representation. Well, long story short, the international community, hence, on the same very ground that I'm talking about, declared Hamas as a terrorist outfit. But Hamas kept on insisting that no, they are not terrorists, they are political representation. Now, there is one thing that everybody need to understand here. You know what? Like just like the people of ISI or the top notches of Pakistan military, उनके जर्नैलों के बच्चे कभी फौज में नहीं जाते. The children of the top ranking officers of Pakistani army, they don't join the army. They study in the best schools in the West, in the USA, in the Canada, in UK mainly. Similarly, the leaders of Hamas, none of them themselves is a fighter. They are sitting in exile. They call themselves in exile, but actually they are living a lavish life in countries like Qatar, like Iran, like Turkey. They keep on hopping between these three countries mainly. None of them is fighting themselves. None of the leaders of Hamas is a fighter. They have their representative sitting out in Gaza who are fighting for them, just like the Kashmiri militants, right? None of the freaking guys of ISI joins any militant outfit. They just pick and choose the poor people and let them fight. So people smarten up. Before you fight for somebody, smarten up. Look who you're fighting for. It is very important. But people of Hamas, again, the leadership who is currently holding the arms and ammunition in Gaza are not so smart. They're ruled by people who are sitting in Qatar, who are sitting in Iran, who are sitting in Turkey. And the Hamas people are getting killed, unfortunately. So again, my next question was like, who supports Hamas? I've already told this. So Qatar is one of the best supporters of Iran. Qatar is the best supporter of Hamas. In the year 2021, Qatar donated over $350 million. Over $350 million to Hamas without any accountability, without knowing where the Hamas is spending the money. And what Hamas did with that money? They digged tunnels. They dug tunnels. ऊपर residences हैं और नीचे tunnels बिछा दिए पूरे Gaza Strip में. और tunnels is a maze. They are a maze. Just like जो अगर आप इजिप्ट में जाएंगे वहाँ पे जो पुरानी मॉर्चरीज होती है, मेरे दिमाग में नाम नहीं आ रहा उसका, एनी बेस, राइट, टनल्स बिछा रखी हैं और ऐसा टनल्स का जाल है, इट्स लाइक अ कॉबवेब. यू गो इन, यू कैंट कम आउट. इट इज अ ट्रैप. डेथ ट्रैप. That is where they spend the money. Basically, that's why Qatar gave them the money. They well spent it. Without any accountability, without any questioning. Second biggest supporter of Hamas is Turkey. And they are funding Hamas militarily as well as financially again, right? And they do it in open. Nobody questions Turkey. I don't know why. Why is America silent about Turkey? Oil game, buddy. It's simple. And the top gun supporter, the top gun of Hamas is Iran. Iran is giving Hamas more than $100 million every year. That's their annual funding. Without question again. और जितने भी rocket, what do you think? Hamas people are really that literate? Are they really that educated to make their own rockets? Do they have factories making rockets? Ammunition factories? No, rockets come from Iran. All those bloody rockets are coming from Iran. Yet, nobody questions Iran. Iraq was attacked by USA, but not Iran. Not even during the time of Arafat. Strange, eh? Let's move on. Like, I'm not going to discuss Iran and Turkey and Qatar right now. We'll try to stick to our point called Palestine. So now the question is whether Palestinians actually support Hamas or not. So survey was held in in Palestine. According to that survey, the results are astonishing. Only 13.13%, only 13% of the Palestinians support Hamas, whereas 73% do not. But on the contrary, look, this is what is amazing about it. Only 13% support Hamas, 73% do not. But 56%, a whooping majority, 56% support the leadership of Hamas. Now, how does this equation work? I don't understand. And it is in situations like this, when the political situation is so jumbled up, is in such a dilemma, is when the chaos starts. पाकिस्तान की हम जल्दी ही बात करने वाले हैं. पाकिस्तान के फिलहाल हालात ऐसे ही चल रहे हैं. पाकिस्तान is undergoing the same scenario right now, same political socio scenario. We'll discuss this in a very upcoming blog. So, but coming back to Palestine again, looking at the humanitarian crisis, they're definitely intense, definitely very saddening. देखिए, मैं एक अगर एक स्ट्रॉन्ग फौजी की बात करूं, वो कहेगा, मैं कहूँगा कि whenever there is a war, collateral damage is inevitable. No army, though, although no civilized army would ever want collateral damage. When Indian army goes out on a mission, they don't support collateral damage. The very basis, the very foundation of your training, of your mission, is to minimize the collateral damage. No, we don't want that. We don't want innocent people to die, because, as I said, when you start killing the innocent people without reason, you become a militant. And when you start supporting the innocents, you become an army. So, but unfortunately, the stakes are so high now. Jaisa maine kaha, Hamas has dug tunnels in Palestine, all over Palestine. The network of tunnel is yet not completely discovered, but it is massive. It is massive. So, on the ground level, it is the residences. But right under the residences, right into the hospitals, right into the schools, right into the military organization depots or whatever, there are militants hiding. That is where the rockets are hidden. That is where they're operating from. They don't use mobile phones, they use landlines. Not easy to track. So under this kind of circumstance, the militaries are compelled, the Air Force is compelled to bomb the targets. And when they're bombing the targets, unfortunately, the collateral damage is uncontrollable. Unfortunately. Again, I'm not supporting the collateral damage at all. And this humanitarian crisis is actually pretty real. Over 6 million people in Gaza are without water. They don't have fresh water to drink. Imagine, people are dying of thirst. They don't have water to drink. Over 24 hospitals have been advised to evacuate. Now, where would the hospitals take the patient? Like, it's pretty common sense. It's a hospital. How can you ask a hospital to evacuate? But what do? When there is a tunnel right underneath the hospital? When there are rockets right underneath the tunnel? The same rockets that are killing innocent people on the other side. Situation is very grim. Now, decision making here is very, very difficult. And conducting an operation is even more difficult. More than 1,600 children have died so far. And Palestine has more than 900,000 children. Now, my question is to the Arabian, to the Islamic countries. all the Palestinian are Islamic people. Why don't you open your doors? Why don't you start giving them refuge? Why are you asking the West to open their doors? Why are you asking Canada, USA, UK to open the doors? Europe, you please take the refugees. Why don't Islamic countries come in front and take all the refugees? Well, the reason is simple. Jordan did this. Jordan entertained Palestinian refugees way back. What they did, they led a coup against their own people who gave them refuge. I'm not saying that people of Palestine are bad people, but they definitely have a bad reputation for now. So the first thing that needs to be done here is that all the Islamic countries need to come forward, take all the refugees, give them the guidelines. If anything untoward happens, you deal with it. It's your people mainly. I'm so sorry, I'm not being racist here. But at the same time, Israel need to calm down its strikes, especially when they're getting close to a hospital or a place where there are innocent people. Israel need to step down a bit. Step back, take a step back, let them evacuate, give them a safe refuge, let them go back where we already cleared. So you go on combing one area, the back area is calmed, there are civilians here, innocent. You know then these civilians are innocent. Make them move behind you, move forward, keep combing like this, and there should be a backing army right behind you too. If these civilians create a mess, there is a backup behind. That is the only way you can calm this kind of situations. Otherwise, international community need to stand up, step forward. What are your views on these humanitarian crises? How do you think that these can be tackled? Please write in the comment box on YouTube, in the comment box in YouTube channel on Whiskey Talkies. And soon we are going to talk on another new topic. तब तक के लिए जय हिंद जय भारत. वीडियो को लाइक करना, शेयर करना, सब्सक्राइब करना, कमेंट करना और बेल आइकॉन पर टप्पू लगाना मत भूलिए दोस्तों. मैं हूं आपका अपना दोस्त मेजबान अतुल बख्शी फ्रॉम विस्की टॉकीज. जय हिंद जय भारत.